The young lady and the old woman are on a horse carriage. The young lady looked out the window. Then the madam said to her, don't look out the window. Don't look at me either. The madam said to herself, I need to put her in her place. I gave her such a complex documents to organize. But she summarized it in no time. She even learned waltz that's currently popular in high society in an instant. I never expected her to have such skill. After that they arrived where they were going. Then the madam said to her, what are you doing? Why aren't you getting off? They got down from the horse carriage and came to a place. The young lady said to herself, this place looks like a street with tailor shops. I don't remember ever coming to a place like this before. What new defect is she looking for by scouting out a new location? A man fell on her. She said, oh my goodness. He say, apologies my lady. The madam said, Eleanor, what are you doing over there? She left and said to him, excuse me. The madam said to her, what do you think you're doing? Eleanor answered, I'm sorry. Then Eleanor asked herself, who is that? I have memorized numerous portraits of the nobles of Baden and their distinctive features, but there was no one who wore such masks. Baron Hamilton is too short to be considered, and the Earl of Evancon's son would have no reason to wear a mask either. Tailor men said, you've arrived, madam. It's an honor to have you here. Please come inside and take a seat. While you are resting, I will bring out a few dresses that I think you will like. I have also brought some tea for you. One of the maids said, my lady, please come this way. Madam quickly said, don't worry about her, and said to the Eleanor, just stand there. Don't even open your mouth. The maid said to herself, she's a noble lady, so why is she being so blatantly ignored? The tailor brought the clothes and said, thank you for waiting, madam. This outfit incorporates my unique touch into the latest trending designs. She said, this is definitely a new style. He said, the sleeves are fuller and longer compared to the original ready-made clothing. This color is a combination of light brown and gold. The madam said, let's try putting on the left one first. He said, yes, madam. The maid said, madam, I will show you to the dressing room. She quickly said, it's all right. And she said to Eleanor, today you're going to wait on me. Eleanor said, huh? Then madam said, what? You don't like it? If you can't do anything else, you should at least serve. You've lived like a pig without doing anything until now. So don't you think it's time for you to start like a human being? Eleanor thought she had to hold it. Madam continued honestly, if not for me, who would take care of someone like you? No one. Now that I think about it, your mother is the problem. It seems the Empire of Hartman does not know how to properly educate their children. If your mother had taught you properly, you wouldn't have ended up like this. Eleanor shouted, that's pathetic. Madam said, what did you just say? And what is with that arrogant look in your eyes? Eleanor said, using your position to threaten and belittle others. Isn't that too petty and childish for someone from the prestigious Mecklen duchy? Madam said, what are saying right now? Eleanor replied, I'm just concerned. Wouldn't it be problematic if rumors spread that the Lady Mecklen is more petty than the lower class, tarnishing the family's dignity? Madam said, you. Eleanor said, I'm advising you, because I hope you maintain your dignity with that. I will take my leave. Her driver asked, my lady, you're leaving already? But she didn't reply to him. She thought she made a huge mistake and it wasn't the right time for that yet. And how did she even survive before she came back? After that, Lennox said, you're here again, my lady. She asked, who are you? He replied, I was concerned you might have been upset by my sudden departure earlier. She thought she couldn't believe she's sitting they're all alone and how rude of her. After that, she said to Lennox, of course not, it's completely fine. He said, that's a relief, but where did others go? She said, oh, we parted ways for a while because of something that came up. He asked, are you alone then? She replied, I'm just going to take a walk and go back. She thought, why would a nobleman be wandering around a place like this without an escort? After that, he said to her, if you don't mind, I will escort you to your place. Again, she thought, why would someone offer to do something for a woman he just met today? Is he some kind of weirdo? After that, she laughed and said, no, you don't have to do that. He said, please don't feel uncomfortable. She said, I'm sorry. He said, I see. He tell her his name is Lennox. She said, Lennox, and she thought it's definitely name she is hearing for the first time. But she feels so familiar, like she has heard it somewhere before. Then a man came and said, may I help you? She thought that person is Baron Egger von Nestrow, the famous aristocrat from the prestigious Baden family Nestrow. know. It's rare to see such a high-ranking noble in this area. With his light eyes, soft facial features and pale skin that makes him seem delicate. He looks very much like the portrait I saw recently. But he seems to be a very cold and demanding person underneath. She tell them her name is Eleanor von Mecklen. She thought she wonder what their reaction would be. If they found out she was the Princess of Hartmann, would they scorn her or laugh at her, or would they avoid her altogether? The man said, I see you're the Duchess of Mecklen. My apologies, I should have greeted you first. Also Lennox said, allow me to greet you again, Lady Mecklen. She said to herself, have I ever received such a respectful greeting from anyone in Baden? After that the man said, why are you talking to a stranger and doing things you've never done before? Lennox said, oh my, and asked how rude to refer to a duchess as a stranger. The man said, no, that's not what I meant. Lennox said, that's how it sounded like to me. Eleanor said to herself, they're an odd pair. They don't seem like brothers, but they are too formal to be friends. After that she said, then I'll get going now. Lennox said to my lady, if you don't mind, may I ask a favor? She said, what kind of favor? He said, please give some of your time. Even a little bit is fine, perhaps enough for a cup of tea. She said to herself, what does he want? After that they came to a beautiful garden. Then she said to herself, what a beautiful garden. I wonder if Lennox is a high enough noble to own such a magnificent property. She said, excuse me, Lennox. He said, yes. Go ahead. She said, where are we? He said, about that. Suddenly the man said this was the former empress's place. She was shocked and said to herself, the place of the empress, who passed away a few years ago. He is not just some nobility but a member of imperial family. After that the man said, my lady, please don't tell that you have entered this place. Lennox said to the man, the Baron sure is difficult with the strangers. And also he said to Eleanor, let me know if his demeanor is making you uncomfortable. I will step in if necessary. The man said, I apologize for any misunderstanding. I would never intentionally be impolite to someone I have just met. I assure you, I'm a well-mannered person. Lennox said, really well then. I share the current situation with her ladyship. I'm curious to see her reaction. The man said, Lennox, please stop, this is going too far. You promised not to bring up Lady Joshua's story, didn't you? Lennox said, oh, I never said anything about Lady Joshua. Who is she? You're quite amusing to tease. Eleanor said to herself, I don't know if they're friends or enemies. Lennox asked Eleanor, my lady, do you find it difficult to adjust to life in Baden? She was shocked and replied, I have only been in Baden for a month, so I'm still figuring things out. As food, it's not much different from Hartmann. He said, I'm not referring to food, I mean people. Don't you feel lonely among stranger? The man suddenly said, your mono, Lennox. You're meddling in matters that are you of your concern. The Duchess of Mecklen is perfectly capable of handling such matters herself. Eleanor said to herself, yes, that's the common perception. People often assume the Duchess has everything handed to her on a silver platter. Lennox said, have you made your debut in society? She said, you seem to have a lot of questions. He said, yes, I do. Another side we see. A duke said to a man named Waldstein, where his majesty gone? Waldstein said, I'm sorry, I don't know that much. The duke said, Lord Waldstein, if you don't know, who else would? Waldstein said, I apologize. His Majesty has been quite discreet. The Duke said to himself, if a bodyguard isn't informed of His Majesty's whereabouts, how I can respond when I have no knowledge of it? After that he said, I'll return to my office and await his return. Waldstein said, I will let you know as soon as His Majesty return. The Duke said to himself, it's surprising the king didn't inform his bodyguard Lord Waldstein. Where could he possibly have gone? After that a man said to the Duke, my lord, are you busy? The Duke said, it's been a while. The man said, if you aren't busy, I'd like to talk to you for a moment. The Duke said, let's go inside. The man said, I hope I'm not interrupting you during such a busy time. The Duke said, not at all. The man said, how is the old Duchess? The Duke said, thanks to you she is doing well. The man said, it's such a shame, if only the late Duke were still alive. The Duke said to himself, he's not the kind of person who would visit for no reason. There must be some reason. After that the man said, have you heard about the Empress Dowager's search for a new maid? The Duke said to himself, I knew it. Then said, an official document was sent to all departments, it starts next week. The man said, I see my daughter always talks about that. By the way, have been in touch with Brianna these days. The Duke said, we met briefly a while ago. I stopped by the palace, so we had a cup of tea. The man said, my daughter. Well, she came forward and said she wanted to become Her Majesty the Empress Dowager's maid. The Duke said yes. The man said, as you know, palace life is never easy. Even a small mistake could get you kicked out of the palace. If you get caught by your superiors, the palace is a dirty place where you get caught up in pointless fights, see ugly thighs, and sometimes even have to endure humiliation. So what I'm saying is, could you take of that from me? The Duke said, what do you mean? The man said, help Brianna adjust well to palace life. The Duke said to himself, certainly, if I, the Emperor's confidant and the head of the knights in charge of guarding the palace, step forward, it will be easier for Brianna to enter the palace. Is this why Mother has been mentioning Brianna so often lately? After that, the man said, is it too much trouble? The Duke said, I will talk to His Majesty. Let's go back to the other side. Eleanor said to herself, this guy is really tall, maybe as tall as Ernst. Lennox said to Eleanor, if you follow this road you will find an artificial pond. Would you like to go there together? She said yes. Then they came to a beautiful pond. Lennox said if this pond had been well maintained, the fish would still be living there. I remember the color being really pretty. Eleanor said, can I ask you something? Where are you from? As far as I remember, there's no one named Lennox among the central nobles, nor in the provinces. Lennox said, ha ha ha, have you met that many nobles already? Eleanor said, not really, but I had a chance to look through the nobles' registers. Lennox said, oh my, what diligence, my lady. The man said to Eleanor it would have taken months to memorize the countless nobles. Eleanor said, it's nothing. I just memorized it unintentionally. Lennox said, you are truly humble, my lady, but my mask is quite suspicious, right? That is why you are asking about my affiliation, right? I will take it off if you want. The man shouted, Lord Lennox. Eleanor said, it's okay. Since you're a close friend of Baron Yeager, your identity must be certain. Lennox said, I have fun today. Eleanor said, I also had fun thanks to you. Lennox said, see you again soon. Eleanor said to herself, will that be possible? Then she laughed and said, yes, of course. Then, I will take my leave. Eleanor said, I guess I should go back. After that, Eleanor returned home then. One of the maids said, young lady, where have you been? Madam has been searching for you for some time. Eleanor said, I had a situation. What about the Duke? The maid said, he is in the room. Shall I inform him? Eleanor said, no, it's okay, I will go. Eleanor said to herself, looks like Carolyn caused quite a stir while I was away. After all the commotion in the tailor's shop during the day, I doubt Carolyn remained quiet. Eleanor said, I have returned. Madam said, how dare you embarrass me and in front of my favorite tailor at that? You deserve what's coming to you. Eleanor said, hey, stop it. Madam said, what? Are you trying to prove you are a low-class person by resorting to violence? Madam said, how dare you? Let go of me right now. Eleanor said, you apologize, I will let you go. Madam said, apologize? Eleanor said, yes, apologize for what you did to me. I don't understand why I have to be scolded and insulted by you. Madam said, how dare you say a such thing when you don't know your place? Eleanor said, because of you, I couldn't marry Ernst to the person I wanted. The plan has fallen apart, and now a stranger is trying to take over my family and my position. Madam said, do you think I will let someone like you, a person from fallen nation, take away my son and the Mecklen family? The woman called one of the maid named Gilbert. Gilbert come and said, did you call for me, madam? Madam said, what are you doing? Get her now. Gilbert said, Madam said, what are you waiting for? He grabbed her hands and said to her, I am sorry, young lady. Eleanor said, let go. Madam said, I won't let you walk around with your head high ever again. Eleanor said, no, don't. Stop it. Let go of me. The madam cut the young lady's hair and said, finally, I am starting to calm down. Lock that thing up in the attic. Don't give her any food or anything for 3 days. Gilbert said, we are so busy these days. Then the maid said, I guess there is no helping it. It's the Duke's birthday party in 2 months. I guess so. It is the Mecklen family's biggest event after all. Maid said to him, where are you going, Gilbert? He said, I am taking these documents. She said, what is all this paperwork for? He said, it is for the young lady for the attic. He said to Eleanor, good afternoon, young lady. Eleanor said, good afternoon, Gilbert. Then he said, these are tasks that the madam has entrusted to me. I would be grateful if you could take care of them.